There are 6 completely different workspaces in Toon Boom Storyboard Pro to give you the option of working in a number of different ways and multiple ways too. There is the drawing workspace, the timeline workspace, the overview workspace, the horizontal workspace, the vertical workspace, and a PDF view workspace. And of course they can all be accessed right from those buttons. But to show you the difference between them two is in this drawing workspace, your drawing, right here is given the most emphasis. In a timeline workspace, you have a timeline down here where you can get very specific in terms of editing and also integrating sound and other things, especially important for doing animatics. The overview workspace is one that I find very, very helpful because you can get a big picture view of what you're working on where you can see a whole bunch of scenes all at once, just like on a traditional storyboard where you would pin lots of papers up to a board. Here you can see quite a few. And you can actually use the zoom in and zoom out on this as well. So this is very helpful because you can keep zooming out to see more and more panels. And you can also zoom back in if you want to see them a little bit more clearly. This is going to be very helpful for when we actually want to start moving panels around, because you can do that from within this workspace. But I'll demonstrate that later. There's also the horizontal workspace, which is like working on a sheet of storyboard paper where you can see multiple panels at a time, and you can also draw on them if you decide to. You can make it as big or as small as you'd like to within reason. And then you can also work on a vertical workspace, which is, again, just like as if you were working on storyboard panels that are more traditionally done in vertical, like in the Japanese animation are frequently done on vertical pages, and live action storyboards are typically done on vertical pages. So that's the vertical workspace. Finally, there's the PDF workspace, which allows you to have much more control over about the way that your storyboard outputs to PDF. In a day-to-day use for drawing storyboards, I would typically use the drawing workspace and the overview workspace. But that's just because those are the ones that I find convenient and that suit my needs. So you can not only customize those workspaces to be whatever shape that you want, but what's really cool is that you can save those workspaces. To save a workspace, you can go to Windows and then Workspace, and then save workspace as, and then give it a name. So I'll call this workspace Fred, just so I can easily remember it. And then let's say I go back to an overview workspace, and I come back to this standard workspace, and then I thought, well, you know what, actually I want that one that I created called Fred. So I would go to Windows, go to Workspace, and then go to down here, and you'll find, oh, there's Fred. So I can choose that, and now I have the arrangement that I wanted before. All right, you saw that I created that new workspace, which is customized, and it was called Fred, which I will go down and choose that. And this is just a workspace that I made up just because I wanted to demonstrate something. But if you found that a certain size and certain arrangement of objects was helpful to you, you could create that. But to make that a part of my regular choices, I could go to Workspace Manager and then find the new workspace that I created. In this case, I gave it a silly name of Fred so I could remember it. And now I'll move it over onto a toolbar. So now Fred appears on my new workspace toolbar. Now you can also move these things up and you can move them down. I seem to have lost him there. You can move the new workspace up, you can move the workspace down. And now when I go over to the workspace toolbar, which is on my desk, I can choose among all of these different toolbars, but one of them is named Fred. So when I click on it, now I am in the Fred workspace. It's just a good way to be able to customize your workspace to keep it however you want to.